The timing for this football night in New York could not be better as Sal, Moose, and Pat Leonard are here joining me in the studio. Pat, this was your report about the Patriots defensive coordinator, Matt Patricia, who will likely be the next Giants head coach. Why would Dave Gettleman hire Patricia over the handful of other candidates that have interviewed?
Well, because the reason John Mara hired Dave Gettleman and the reason they want Patricia is because they don't think the Giants way is broken. They just think they got away from the Giants' way. They want to go back to their roots, running the ball, tough defense. The Giants, when they're great, their defense is great. Going back to 86 and 90 with Parcells and Belichick as a defensive coordinator, the Giants have hired 5 straight offensive coaches since. Of course, Spagnuolo's defense played a huge role in Coughlin's first of 2 Super Bowls. But basically, the Giants feel that even though they know priorities are fix the offense, develop a young quarterback, first and foremost, Gettleman wants a CEO who can run the team, succeed where Ben McAdoo failed in that regard with too much on his plate, also running the offense and the team. And those are all the reasons why the Giants like Patricia, and all indications are Patricia likes them more than the Lions.
Yeah, and listen, I can understand all that, and certainly he had to be impressive during the course of that interview, and I think Patricia's going to get an opportunity to be a head coach in the National Football League, and if it ends up being with the Giants, and I think it'll end up being a good hire. Listen, he worked his way up. You love that very fact. He's got a brilliant mind. You look at what he did before he got into football and dealing with aeronautics. He went up to Foxborough and basically got into the good graces of Bill Belichick by revamping everything that they did up in Foxborough during the course of a given week during the course of the regular season. So you like that idea about Matt Patricia, that being able to separate himself from other guys up there in Foxborough. And I get the history of Bill Belichick disciples, Sal, failing in other spots. I think Patricia's going to be a good head coach.
Yeah, the problem is we don't know because he doesn't have head coaching experience. And I thought this was a spot where the Giants needed to hire somebody with some head coaching experience. I still believe Josh McDaniels is going to be the better coach of the two. I'm not saying Patricia's not going to be a good head coach, but I'd rather have a guy who learned from his mistakes like McDaniels did when he failed in Denver. You know, the other thing is this, Patricia, and we've seen this plenty of times, not just with Belichick's assistants, the other hot coordinator candidates. They continue to get head coaching opportunities, and a lot of times they fail because they try to be who their head coach was at the other spot. Matt Patricia is not Bill Belichick. He has to be himself. And if he does that and he understands that being a head coach is different than being a coordinator, the higher up the coaching ranks you go, the less coaching you actually do. So he's got to understand what being a head coach is, and he's got to be himself. If he does that, he'll have success.
The one thing that sticks out to me about Patricia as far as will he succeed or not coming from Belichick is that Belichick has traded away Jamie Collins, Chandler Jones. These guys have left. No matter who he has lost to injury, to trade, to free agency, Belichick has said, deal with it and give me a top 10 defense. 11 of the 12 seasons he's been on the defensive side of the ball. The Patriots have been in the top 10 in scoring defense, and they've been top 10 all 6 of his seasons as coordinator, which at least he has significant coordinator experience if he's not with the head coaching experience.
But Sal, with Odell Beckham Jr. being the centerpiece of this Giants team, should the next head coach be focused on the defensive option?
Yeah, no, I don't necessarily believe in an offensive guy or a defensive guy because, again, head coaching is different than just calling the plays out there. We've seen some guys have success calling plays as head coach, whether it's offensive or defensive, but usually the head coach lets his coordinators do all those different things, especially a first-time head coach. That's a lot to chew on right there. So I don't think because of Odell Beckham Jr. or because the Giants are going to take a quarterback with their second overall pick that they needed an offensive mind. I think Patricia's got to hire a guy who he believes can develop a young quarterback and have a good offensive system that he believes in. But ultimately, he is the head coach, not a defensive guy or an offensive guy.
I mean, the CEO. I mean, that's really what Kellerman talked about he wanted his next head coach to be. Now, in his early 40s, is that going to be Matt Patricia? Only time will tell. Can he handle this market? Can he handle the scrutiny? Can he handle the media? Can he handle, listen, they were all protected by Bill Belichick up there. So now you step out of that. You're running an organization. Give the offensive and defensive coordinators the flexibility, wherewithal to go out and do their jobs. But you as the head coach, being able to handle everything that comes along with this job in New York. Listen, we saw McAdoo crash and burn, right? So can Matt Patricia be successful? I think he can, but do you have every reason to question it? Yeah, I think you can as well.
Right, and I think also, though, Patricia has a reputation, even though he's a defensive head or a coordinator right now, He was an offensive lineman in college at RPI. He started with the Patriots on the offensive side of the ball for a couple years, and he's known for being so thorough that even though he's building a defensive game plan, that he's just as successful analyzing tape and crafting game plans and analyzing offenses as he is defenses. So that 360-degree ability is what attracts them, not just that he's a defensive player.
And just a lot of the time, just because you hire a defensive guy, we've seen that the defensive guy has a better offensive team. So just because you hire one side of the ball, that doesn't mean McAdoo was an offensive guy. His offense couldn't do anything. It was the defense.
Well,
it's endless opportunity.
I mean, the perfect case in point, look at Brian Billick, right?
Correct.
The offensive coordinator of the Minnesota Vikings went to Baltimore. The offense stunk. They won based on Marvin Lewis.